We're going to try to go fast here because we got a lot to get through and not a lot of time to do it. So this is about how to make a successful short film in 6 steps while avoiding all the mistakes that everyone else is making. So the 3 big misconceptions that I want to smash first are that you need to be a filmmaker to make a great short film. That's simply not true. Experience is incredibly important, but not needed. So obviously you're going to make better films the more you do this, but you do not have to be a cinematographer, editor, writer, and all that stuff to make short films. You need a clear vision, a goal, and a good team. No access to a team? That's not a problem. In this day and age, it really isn't. You can find team members all over the world that are incredibly qualified and talented and are very good at making films. That's a bit of a story for another video. We won't have time to go through it on this, but in our program, we obviously discussed that quite in depth. Now, shorts don't make money is another misconception that people throw around out there, at least not the way that most people make them. That's actually true. But the statement as a whole here, that shorts don't make money, is absolutely wrong. In fact, most of my income comes from short films, and I have a pretty decent life. You can offer it as a service. That's, the main thing is that people think of making money with films in a very small-minded way, like because NBC isn't buying short films for their linear television programming, you can't make money with short films. It's not true. First of all, you can offer short films as a service, creative ones, so you can get paid as a production company to make short films for others. You can use it as a proof of concept or a career strategy step to actually get to the next step in your career, which is an indirect path to money. But if you use it correctly, it can take you towards money in a way that you weren't able to before. So it'll open up doors, which is also a way to monetize these. You can stream them on various AVOD platforms like YouTube, Tubi, and there's a few more that if they go really well, they actually can make money. I have one short film that's been making about $300 a month for the last 8 years, every single month, just on YouTube. Now, again, the more you make, the more you have out there, the more this stuff adds up. You can make it as an ad for your services or your products or for others. So if you do it right, you can actually structure a creative short film in a way that also functions as an ad or something that has a call to action that motivates people to either purchase, donate, or take advantage of your services. So that is another way to monetize shorts. And then you can do creative licensing for shows, companies, expos, presentations, and stuff. A number of times I've been asked to use by others my short films or parts of the short films to drive a message home by somebody who's giving a presentation at a job recruitment agency or at a penitentiary, for instance. So we had one short film that they licensed at a penitentiary, a women's facility, that was all about interviewing for a job, and it was done in a humorous way, or how not to interview for a job. And they wanted to show that as part of the release program to help women from that penitentiary reacclimate to society. And then the other misconception is that it's better to just make a feature film. Don't bother with shorts. First of all, this is wrong for a number of reasons, but the main ones are that there's no guarantee that your feature film will sell either. The market right now is very difficult for independent movies, especially first-time films. Features have a lot higher standards when it comes to quality control. You need to be better with your strategy, and you need to understand a little bit more about what happens after you make the movie. And you really should have decent budgets to make your films. They're massive projects, and those DIY, done in your basement kind of feature films, they just don't do much out there. And then it's all about the purpose or the strategy, of course, when you're talking about making a short. If you just randomly make a short film or randomly make a feature film or any film without thinking about what comes after or what it's really for, then really you shouldn't be making any films, because you'll just end up with something that nobody actually wants to see, and you won't be able to sell, and you won't be able to do much with it. So you'll end up with a digital paperweight, essentially, for the lack of a better word. So you don't need to be a filmmaker or some experienced person in the industry to make a great short. You don't have to make a feature film to monetize it, and in fact, there's no guarantee that that you'll make money off of your feature film. And they do make money in many other ways that you may not have thought of. And don't worry about the feature film, especially if it's your first project, or if you have an idea you want to put out there, do it with a short first. So, what's the right way to make a short film? Well, I call it PDS, or purpose-driven shorts. So, what is that? It's actually really simple, and I'm shocked that more people don't think about it this way, but it's simply a short film that's structured in a certain way to fulfill a purpose within a larger strategy. Okay? I'll now show you the 6 steps to making a PDS and what people usually do wrong at every stage, and how you should be doing it if you want to get the most out of your next film. So step 1, the concept. The wrong way to do it, or what most people do, is that they say, I have something to say, or I have a good idea. So you sit down, you wake up, you have a dream, and one day you're like, I have an idea for a short, I'm going to go do that. And what a PDS is you ask yourself these questions: what specific outcome am I trying to accomplish with this tool? The short film being the tool. What are you trying to accomplish with it? Are you trying to get representation, an agent, a manager? Are you trying to steer your acting career and star yourself in a way that you haven't been seen before because nobody's giving you that chance? Are you trying to establish yourself as a director or a writer or a producer? Are you trying to raise funds for a bigger project and prove a concept? What is the purpose of the film? And then step 2 is developing the actual script based on that purpose. Okay, so what everybody normally does is they write 15 to 30 pages. Basically, if they want to make a feature film and they have that foresight, they think about, well, what's a short version of that film that I can make? Or if they don't even think about maybe using it as a tool to make a feature film, they think, well, I'm just going to write this script. I'm going to sit down, I'm going to write this script of this short film idea that I had, and they just sit down and write. That's dangerous for a number of reasons, but the way that PDS teaches, or purpose-driven way to do it, is that you create the MVP, or the minimum viable product, to communicate point 1, the concept or the goal. What is the minimum that you need to do to get that thing across, whatever it is that you're doing? If you're establishing yourself as a director, what's your style, your flavor? What do you want to get known for? Create something like that. If you're creating a movie, what's the concept of the film? What's the one thing that's going to actually communicate the purpose or the value of that film, or what's different to your investors potentially, or people who might help you doing it? So again, what's the main concept that will communicate the purpose of this film to my audience? And then create something around that. What do I want them to feel or do, and why? What's the goal again? What do you want them to feel or do, and why? And what resources, this is an important one, do I have available to me? So if you have, look at what you have and think about what you can use for free or for little money that will add value to your film, as opposed to just writing what you want in your head and then having to figure out how to get all those things and make it happen, which can add up incredibly quickly. Step 3 is to pre-produce the hell out of your short film. Everyone usually assembles friends and favors. They do it as cheap as possible. Any actors will do. I know a friend, he's an actor, I'm gonna bring him in and I'll be the filmmaker, I'll direct it, I'll even hold the camera, or maybe you have a friend who's got a camera, so you bring them on as the cinematographer, and you go out and you shoot stuff. Oftentimes I'll hear that people will just, get the team together for a day, they'll have a loose idea of the script, and they'll just go out and film. So with purpose, you want to be strategic with your resource allocation. You want to be thorough and pre-produce the heck out of it. And you want to be paying for weak links. And you want to be the producer. The cast and crew need to be brought in strategically and properly. It doesn't cost you more to have a casting call and to put up something on something like a casting networks, or to go out in the community and look for actors. It costs you some time, but the right actor will take something home, whereas any actor will just be any actor and not add any real value to it. They may not even be that good. If you're not a professional, experienced director, don't direct. It's a lot more nuanced than you might think. And so you're hurting your film by doing all these things quickly. You're underestimating the impact of a good crew and experience when it comes to filmmaking. So be the producer. Have the vision, communicate it, get the team together, tell everybody what the goal is, and work as a team to get something done. And when I mean strategic resource allocation, that's, what do you have available? If you wrote your script around that, then you should have the resources that you have available to you that'll increase production value that you've gotten for free or for little money. And now you can take a little bit of budget because, maybe you saved, or maybe you're able to raise some money. And if not, it's all good. You can still make a film, but whatever resources you do have financially, you should put into weak links. Meaning if you just don't have anybody with a good camera, or you don't have anybody who knows how to shoot, maybe pay a good DP, or pay a good editor, pay a good director, fill in the blanks where you're lacking quality people and use your resources that way, which you can't really do if you just write a script in your head because there's so many things that you need to figure out. All right? And pre-produce, meaning break it down into its shots, create shot lists. You don't have to do a storyboard necessarily, but know exactly what you're going to be filming ahead of time and develop a proper production schedule. And have an AD on set or have somebody there to help you manage the flow of things and make sure that you're getting all the coverage that you need and all the shots that you need instead of just kind of going in willy-nilly. Then number 4 is the day of production. And what most people do is they have a lot of great ideas on set and they try to shoot all of them. So they walk in, they see a golden door in the location that they didn't know was there, and so they think of something to shoot there, and they start filming all these new ideas. And oftentimes, you feel on set like you're having all these great ideas, but you haven't actually broken it down and thought about it conceptually and how it's going to fit into your strategy. And so what happens oftentimes is people waste time, which is valuable on set, shooting stuff that really is just a good idea and doesn't even make the story better or work at communicating that one thing that you want the film to communicate in a better way. So what do you do in purpose-driven shorts? Well, you shoot the script first, and then ideas if you have time. So if you've done proper pre-production, you've broken it all down, shoot what you know you need, shoot what you put down. And when that's all done, if there's time, go out and shoot your additional ideas. You'll thank yourself when you're making the film in post, when you're cutting it all together. Don't make major changes on set unless you absolutely have to and some disaster happens and your lead actor can't make it or something. You have to count your losses. You have to constantly be figuring things out when you're producing stuff, but try your best to shoot the script first and then go out and do your little fun ideas that you're having on the spot. Step 5, post-production, right? Editing, color correction, sound mix, scoring, all these things. Normally, people know an editor and they just let that editor edit it. They have a lazy approach to post-production, meaning they don't do ADR, they don't do pickups and reshoots. Just because it's a short film doesn't mean that you nailed it. The major movies, almost every film, I don't think I've ever been on a production where I couldn't have benefited from going back and either reshooting something or ADR is recording lines afterwards in post to either fix audio issues or change the way something was said and so forth. And a lot of people, they just throw all this stuff onto a drive, give it to an editor, put it together, and don't want to invest any more time or money in post-production. They feel like everything's just, it's already been shot and, we can't go out and fix it, so they just leave it bad. The purpose-driven way is obviously do proper post-production. Find an actual editor who has experience and is good at editing the type of film. Comedy is different to drama. Action is different to comedy. Sizzle reels are not films. So if you have an editor who edits wedding videos for a living, that doesn't mean they can structure a story and find the pacing of a good comedy. You need somebody who knows how to do that. Editing is an art form, and experienced editors are relatively hard to find, but you can find them, and they will work on your short. Everybody needs work, guys. And fix the film. Actually look at it and go back to the beginning and say, what's the idea here? Is the quality great? Is it actually doing it in an efficient way? And if not, what do I need to make it fulfill its goal? What else do I need, right? And if it's going out to the public, the audiences are sophisticated now. Bad sound, bad camera work, bad color correction, it doesn't fly anymore. It's not going to work. You have to make this thing good, okay? So fix the problems, even if it means you need to go reshoot something, or you need to wait, save up a little money, and pay somebody more experienced to actually do it for you. And not every editor can also do color and sound and composing and stuff like that and score. So you're going to want to make sure that you don't overspend and waste money, but make sure that you take advantage of any kind of libraries and online tools and resources that you can take advantage of to get your film finished in post-production as closely as you can and as professionally as you can, so that it can screen at a festival and actually be considered at industry standard. Step 6 is distribute and implement your strategy. What normally people do is they don't have a clue what to do now. They submit to just random festivals, their short films, and they promote it on social media randomly. And then nothing happens, and the short film just kind of peters off. Maybe it goes into a few festivals, but that's it. And then they don't know what to do next or where to take it next. And the purpose-driven way is strategic incorporation in your master plan. This development should just be a small part of your overall strategy. What do you want to accomplish as a filmmaker, as a business, as an individual, with this story, with this idea, with this concept? What's the plan? You got to figure out the before and the after as well, and what you're actually trying to do with it. And then you can submit it to relevant festivals, if festivals even make sense for this. You can submit it to relevant aggregators and so forth to get it on certain platforms. Or you might see that, putting it up on Amazon Prime or Tubi isn't even going to benefit you in the way that maybe putting it on YouTube would, or using it as a tool for a pitch, embedded in a PDF, put it on Vimeo or YouTube. So there's so many ways that you can now use this, and you can't figure that out after you've made your film. I mean, you could see how you can leverage it, but it's always best to come up with a strategy first, look at the short film as part of that plan, and then put it, go out and shoot it and implement it in that larger strategy so that it can actually work for you in an effective way.